What's up, Wrestling Zone family? Welcome back to the channel where we break down all the hottest wrestling news and storylines. Jon Moxley has finally spoken out about Roman Reigns' absolutely shocking return to WWE Raw, and what he had to say will blow your mind. But before we dive into this explosive story, make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell because you do not want to miss any of our wrestling coverage. Trust me, this one's going to be wild. Now, I know what you're thinking. Jon Moxley commenting on WWE? The same Moxley who left WWE on less than ideal terms back in 2019? The same guy who's been tearing it up in AEW and making a name for himself as one of the most dangerous wrestlers on the planet? Well, wrestling fans, sometimes the most unexpected voices speak the loudest truths, and Moxley's recent comments about Roman's return have sent shockwaves through both WWE and AEW locker rooms. Let's set the stage here. Roman Reigns' return to WWE Raw was nothing short of spectacular. After months of speculation, injury concerns, and storyline developments that kept fans on the edge of their seats, the Tribal Chief made his presence felt in a way that only Roman Reigns can. The WWE Universe erupted when his music hit, and that familiar entrance sent chills down everyone's spine. But this wasn't just any return, this was Roman coming back with a vengeance. The way he dominated that ring, the intensity in his eyes, and that primal energy he brought back to Monday Night Raw reminded everyone why he's been the face of WWE for nearly a decade. The crowd's reaction was electric, a perfect blend of anticipation and pure wrestling euphoria. What made this return even more significant was the timing. With WWE's current landscape shifting, new storylines developing, and fresh faces emerging, Roman's comeback felt like a seismic shift in the wrestling world. It wasn't just about one man returning, it was about the entire dynamic of professional wrestling potentially changing overnight. The wrestling community immediately started buzzing with questions. What does this mean for current storylines? How will this affect the championship picture? And perhaps most intriguingly, what would wrestlers from other promotions think about this massive return? For weeks after Roman's return, the wrestling world waited to hear from various industry veterans and current stars. Social media was flooded with reactions from WWE superstars, wrestling legends, and fans worldwide. But one voice remained notably silent: Jon Moxley's. This silence was particularly intriguing given Moxley's history with WWE and his known relationship with Roman Reigns from their days together in the Shield. These two warriors shared some of the most memorable moments in recent WWE history, battling side by side and against each other in storylines that defined an entire generation of wrestling fans. Moxley's silence spoke volumes. Here was a guy who never held back his opinions, who'd been vocal about his WWE experience, and who'd built a reputation for speaking his mind regardless of the consequences. So when he stayed quiet about one of the biggest wrestling stories of the year, people started asking questions. Was he being diplomatic? Was there bad blood? Or was he simply processing what Roman's return meant for the wrestling landscape as a whole? The speculation grew louder with each passing day, until finally, Moxley decided to break his silence in a way that nobody saw coming. When Moxley finally spoke, he didn't hold anything back. In a candid interview that's already being called one of the most honest wrestling conversations of the year, Moxley opened up about his thoughts on Roman's return, their shared history, and what it means for professional wrestling moving forward. "You want to know what I think about Roman coming back?" Moxley said, with that signature intensity we've all come to know and love. "I think it's exactly what wrestling needed. Not WWE, not any specific company, wrestling as a whole. But here's where it gets really interesting." Moxley didn't just praise the return, he got deeply personal about their Shield days and how that experience shaped both of their careers. He talked about watching Roman evolve from the powerhouse of their trio to becoming the undisputed face of sports entertainment. "People don't understand what Roman went through to get where he is," Moxley continued. "They see the success, they see the main events, but they don't see the pressure, the expectations, and the absolute grind that guy put himself through. When I see him back in that ring, commanding that presence, it reminds me why we clicked so well as a unit." What really caught everyone off guard was Moxley's admission about his own WWE departure and how it related to Roman's journey. He revealed that during his final months in WWE, it was actually Roman who encouraged him to follow his own path, even if it meant leaving the company. This brings us to perhaps the most emotional part of Moxley's statement, his reflection on the Shield legacy and how Roman's return connects to that brotherhood they built together. For those who might be newer to wrestling, the Shield wasn't just another stable, they were a phenomenon that changed the entire landscape of WWE. Moxley spoke about how the three of them, himself, Roman, and Seth Rollins, created something special that transcended typical wrestling storylines. "We weren't just playing characters," he explained. "We were three guys who genuinely had each other's backs, both on screen and behind the scenes. That kind of chemistry doesn't come around often." He went on to describe how Roman's leadership qualities were evident even in their early days together. While Moxley was the wild card and Rollins was the architect, Roman was always the anchor, the guy who kept them grounded while they tore through the WWE roster. Seeing him back in that ring, with that crowd going absolutely insane, it brought back memories of when we used to walk through that crowd together, Moxley said. "Different circumstances now, different companies for some of us, but that respect and that brotherhood, that never changes." This revelation adds a whole new layer to both wrestlers' current situations and gives fans hope for potential future interactions between these former Shield brothers. But Moxley didn't stop at nostalgia and personal reflections. He also addressed the bigger picture of what Roman's return means for professional wrestling as an industry. His perspective as someone who's experienced success in multiple promotions gives his opinion unique weight in these discussions. "Competition breeds excellence," Moxley stated. "When Roman's operating at his peak level in WWE, it pushes everyone else to step up their game. That includes guys in AEW, guys in New Japan, guys everywhere. Wrestling fans win when the top stars are performing at their absolute best." He praised Roman's ability to evolve his character and stay relevant in an ever-changing wrestling landscape. According to Moxley, Roman's return wasn't just about coming back, it was about coming back better, more focused, and more dangerous than ever before. Moxley also touched on how Roman's return impacts the current generation of wrestlers. "Young guys coming up in this business need to see what true main event presence looks like," he said. "Roman's return is a masterclass in how to command attention, how to work a crowd, and how to carry yourself like a champion." This perspective from someone who's competed at the highest levels in multiple promotions adds credibility to his assessment and shows the mutual respect that exists between top-tier wrestlers, regardless of company loyalties. Perhaps the most intriguing part of Moxley's statement came when he addressed the future and potential crossover possibilities. While he was careful not to make any concrete predictions or promises, he did hint at the changing landscape of professional wrestling and how situations like Roman's return could open doors that seemed impossible just a few years ago. "Wrestling's changing," Moxley observed. "Wrestlers are moving between promotions more freely, dream matches are happening that fans never thought they'd see. Roman being back and performing at this level? That creates possibilities that didn't exist before." He also addressed the speculation about potential Shield reunions or cross-promotional appearances, though he remained diplomatically vague about specifics. "Never say never in this business," was his response when pressed about future possibilities. As Moxley wrapped up his statement, he returned to the core message that seemed to drive his entire response: respect for the craft and appreciation for excellence, regardless of promotional boundaries. "At the end of the day, I'm a wrestling fan just like everyone else," he concluded. "When I see great wrestling, when I see someone performing at Roman's level, it makes me want to be better. It makes me want to push harder, and I think that's what wrestling should be about, pushing each other to be the best versions of ourselves." And there you have it, Wrestling's own family. Jon Moxley's explosive statement about Roman Reigns' shocking return has given us all a lot to think about. The respect between these former Shield brothers, the impact on the wrestling industry, and the possibilities for the future have created one of the most compelling wrestling stories we've seen in recent memory. What do you think about Moxley's comments? Do you agree with his assessment of Roman's return? And what would you like to see happen next in this evolving story? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to hit that like button if you enjoyed this breakdown. Make sure you're subscribed to Wrestling Zone 1 for all the latest wrestling news, analysis, and exclusive content. Until next time, keep wrestling, and we'll see you in the next video.